Hey everybody, today this electric van man review is going to compare the Ford eTransit with the brand new Chinese Farizon. Now you really liked this video when you saw it, and I'm going to start with the Ford eTransit, so let's head over there. So I'm here at an SMMT event, and today I get to do my first ever drive of the Transit, the eTransit Custom. And you know it's that vehicle because it's got this shiny grille. This is the sport model. It's 160 kilowatts. That's 218 brake horsepower. So it's quick, right? It's got the 65 kilowatt hour battery in it, which will get me, oh, gosh, it's probably going to be around the 180 miles, something like that. Maybe a little bit less, actually, depending on what mode I drive it in. If I drive it in eco mode, then it's going to be okay. If I'm in normal mode, it's probably going to be about 160. If it's going to be in sport mode, who knows? It's not a huge battery. It's got good charging speed, 125 kilowatts, which will get me 10 to 80% in around, well, in less than 40 minutes. That's reasonably quick. There is quicker out on the market. It looks the part, and of course it is a Transit Custom. The Transit Custom is embedded into the psyche of the UK van buying market, and this is going to be no exception. But we've got to get our head around the electric bit, and that's what my job is to do, right? To give you some help in doing that. So you've heard about the charging, you've heard of electric. It's still going to have a ton payload. It's got all the space that you've got at the back. You haven't got any compromise versus the ICE or internal combustion engine diesel vehicle that you're used to. But this version is going to give you something different, a different driving experience, and that's been the bit that I've been missing. So now I'm going to go and do it. It's worth noting that with the Ford Transit you can get the tailgate version. So there we go. It's got a camera on the back as well, which is great. And then of course you're into the usual cabin space. So nice amount of space in here, probably about 6.2 cubic meters. And also you've got plugs here for your power takeoffs. That's great. So you can plug your tools in and use them here at the back. Wow. Just imagine if that became the norm. And for electric vehicles, watch this space. Once inside the Ford eTransit Custom, you are treated to the usual excellence of the cabin area. I love the through load. They've managed to get all the equipment and bump away from the seats. So you really genuinely have two seats up front here. They've kept the office. I love that as well. And that's really good. The steering wheel, you kind of have grown to be accustomed to all of the equipment being on the steering wheel, and that really works. So all of that good stuff is all here and able to use your telephone. Now you do have a very comprehensive infotainment system with settings and features and all of that kind of stuff, and you will have to spend some time getting to know that baby, because it is not always intuitive. You've got to find your way through it, but you know, we sometimes need to just spend a little bit of time to get to know the thing, don't we? I want to pick up on this, the camera layout whilst you're in reverse. You've got the 360 view and you've got a nice wide angle lens there. I think that's really helpful on vans, and I'm hopeful it's standard. Probably is at this spec level, but make sure that that is on your van, because it will make maneuvering so much more easy. One feature that I've found is this little right hand armrest. Yeah, I'm liking that, because it gives me that kind of real balance, and I don't have to kind of have my arm up here. I can kind of adjust it to where I want it, and that's good. I like that. But let's go and get our first drive in this vehicle and see if it is as good or better, probably better, you would expect, right? I don't know, than say the Farizon that I've driven and I was very impressed with. So let's see how the two compare. So you're probably asking, Paul, what was that like? Well, I wish I could have shown you all around. My camera setup doesn't allow me to do that, unfortunately. But I will tell you that this, even in normal mode, wants to go. So if a little bit of acceleration does it for you and you are that kind of, you're not worried about fleet and not worried about having to manage drivers and all of those kinds of things, then this vehicle wants to go. It puts a smile on your face. The acceleration is like nothing you've felt in a van. And that wasn't even in sport mode. So I think even in sport mode, over 200 brake horsepower through an empty van, in all fairness, it kind of feels a little bit nimble on its feet. Um, going around the hill circuits of Millbrook, which again, unfortunately, I can't show you. The twists and turns, you just like to feel a little bit more planted. But look, that's not really what you're going to be doing with this van. So, is it good? Yeah, it's a really nice drive, and you won't be disappointed in this van. What about price? Well, price is here of this particular one with a number of options on it, probably about £4,000 worth of options. It's £55,000. It's £51,000 as the base vehicle in the 160 L2 H1 version. So you've got to go out and find the right one for you. And it may be, if you're thinking business, that you don't want this particular model. And so I think the starting price for this is sort of mid 40s. So a bit more competitive. And of course, you've got the £5,000 van grant, plug-in van grant. Take off that price, so that's good news. You can get it for a lot less. So £55,000 becomes £50,000. So that's all right, and then you put it on a lease and you head over to various different websites and you can Google and check it out, and you can probably find one for a pretty reasonable monthly rental. In fact, I think I remember seeing something around this one for about £350 a month from there. So go check it out. Maybe it's a vehicle for you. But I want to consider how I feel straight jumping into the Farizon van. So let's go and check out the Farizon van before I give you my conclusion on both. Now let's transition to the Farizon, the new kid on the block, and see if it's got that same level of quality and feel and the same level of performance. The one thing I didn't feedback in the cab of that vehicle was that the going over the bumps, which we went over in this one before, it wasn't unvan-like, whereas this has been in the past. So back to back, let me see how it goes. So before I go any further, I'm going to stick in the links here the video that you might want to see after or before or whatever point you want to. Go and check that video out, because that is the full review of this vehicle, but we're just going to do the back-to-back drive right now. So this is everything I've come to expect from the Farizon. My only sort of real problem with this vehicle is the reach. Now, I'm assured by the Chinese that they are going to be giving us reach as well as rake, and that's the reach, getting it closer and further away, or rake is up and down. The seat is also going to get a bit of a remake, and you're going to get the ability to lift it up and down, which you don't have currently. But for me, that's not a problem, but for other people, it could well be. We know that there's a few other changes coming, and we now know the pricing, and so just in case you missed it on the other one, this is coming out and starting at £44,000 plus on the road, and then you get £5,000 off. So it's £39,000, just £40,000 when all said and done. So it's got a great spec level. Again, check the other video for that. I will say this though, that somehow I've got more space in this vehicle. I've just had to pull my seat up, but that's important because in the back here, you've got actually more space, and I've actually got a load of weight here, which was just helpful for me to open up and find that out, because that's about 600 kilos worth of water. So that is going to change the way that this vehicle performs in comparison to the Ford eTransit. But there's actually 7 cubic meters of space back here, a 2.7 load length at the bottom, which is actually better than the Ford Transit E-Custom, Ford E-Custom Transit, E-Transit Custom. Hello, Duncan. That's Duncan. So anyway, let's get back in and let's do the drive. And also, just for equity, we can see the camera here as well. So you've got a nice clear rear view there and the 360 view there. So there's a few things that are equal. We don't get the old office though, which is a bit of a shame. But let's go and find out whether this drives as well as the Ford eTransit Custom, or whether this is left in some way wanting. So what about the drive? Let's turn that little noise off. I will tell you that these vehicles make a little bit more uninvited noise. That said, the drive was really good. Now, bear in mind a £10,000 price differential. This doesn't feel quite the quality of that, the Transit, but beyond that, I mean, for 10 grand, we're talking fleet here, back, you know, pound for pound. I'm not sure. You know, steering wheel got everything that we want. You can see that in that other video. The layout is nice. We've got a clean through, you know, so you've got 3 seats and all of that good stuff. The suspension on this, you can tell that the front suspension is different than the back suspension of this vehicle, but also that the front suspension is better than the suspension on the eTransit Custom van. So I don't think there's the differential that everybody thinks that are out there. So if you're thinking I might get that vehicle, because let me tell you, in terms of electric credentials, this has an 83 kilowatt hour battery, and that's got a 240 mile range versus a 65 kilowatt hour battery, which has at best 190-ish range, something like that. So this is showing at 80%, 198 miles, and it's been driven by people like me, you know, from 100%. And so that's about 35 miles. So it's showing a real 235 mile range at the moment. So that's really positive. So what can we conclude then? Is it the Fraizon or the Ford eTransit Custom? Because, I mean, maybe if you're a independent, private butcher, baker, candlestick maker, that might be my choice, if you have the money. But if you don't have the money and you want to make a sensible electric decision, why would you not consider this? I mean, in this lovely grey colour. Maybe not so much that colour, but definitely this colour. So, I don't know, I can't be conclusive. But the bottom line is, you know, eTransit Custom you know, Fraizon you don't know. But you should try. So, either or, give it a go. Have a great day, everybody.